Hey everyone, welcome to week 5, module 5, where we're going to talk about AI in finance and operations. Now, I've got to tell you that this is going to be one of my favorite weeks because by nature, I'm a finance guy who got into tech, and operations is kind of my specialty. So, this is something where I have a lot of familiarity with the scenario, and I'm very, very comfortable with it. And it's amazing how it's changing my day-to-day operations and of the day-to-day operations of companies all over the world. We're going to talk about some really interesting things, so let's jump right in. Um, First thing I want to kind of do is take a moment to understand that, hey, last week we talked about marketing and customer engagement, and that's a huge part of any business's operations. But potentially an even more important part is the one we're going to shift gears into, and it's more behind the scenes. It's the core of business operations and finance. So marketing is all about grabbing attention. Okay. Finance and operations are about ensuring that the business runs efficiently, sustainably, and securely. AI is changing the way that's been done. So, we're going to look at a couple of key areas that AI is transforming. We're going to talk about forecasting, fraud detection, budgeting, and operational efficiency. We're also going to explore two global powerhouses, namely BlackRock, who you may not have heard of, and of course, JP Morgan Chase, which is the world's largest bank. And these two companies are interesting because they are already leveraging AI to reshape finance at a massive scale. So let's jump right in. AI in forecasting, which is basically predicting the future with data, is uh, historically a very slow process. It was manual, it was tedious, and financial analysts would pore over spreadsheets, historical data, and trends to predict future performance. Today, AI can do all of that much faster and with greater attention to detail. It can process millions of data points in seconds. It can detect subtle patterns that humans would miss. It can adjust projections in real time based on new data, and it can simulate multiple scenarios for different business conditions simultaneously. And this is what's known as predictive analytics. It allows businesses to forecast revenue with greater accuracy and anticipate inventory needs. It also allows you to plan hiring, pricing, and investment strategies more confidently. An example of this would be Amazon. Amazon uses AI-driven demand forecasting to decide how much inventory to send to each warehouse before you even click buy. This forecasting is what allows them to deliver that 2-day shipping, that same-day shipping, or that even between, 5 and 10 p.m. shipping. In finance departments, though, we're seeing a rise in tools like Planful, Anaplan, or IBM Planning Analytics that use AI to create rolling forecasts and detect outliers in budget projections. Now, another field that AI is having a massive impact is, of course, in fraud detection. Now, what is fraud detection? Well, banks and financial institutions deal with billions of transactions daily. Humans can't monitor all of them, but the use of AI enables monitoring. Now, what can do AI models do in this regard? Well, of course, they're going to be responsible for things like flagging suspicious patterns. Examples would be like repeated withdrawals or unusual purchases. If you've ever tried to make a large purchase or traveled abroad and tried to make a large purchase, you'll notice that sometimes your card will get flagged and you won't be able to transact on it until you log into your account and say, yes, that was me. Or sometimes you'll get a text message or get a phone call. But AI models are able to kind of be the backbone or system that powers all of that. It also allows the banks to detect potential identity theft or payment fraud in real time. And this protects you and your investments as well as your personal finances and well-being. They're also able to learn and detect new types of scams much quicker than humans would. Now, this is what's called anomaly detection, and it's one of the most valuable AI applications in financial services. An example of this would be JP Morgan Chase, who uses AI models to analyze historical fraud patterns, transaction behavior, and external data to flag risks instantly. In 2024, they reported that their AI-based detection systems prevented millions in fraudulent transfers within seconds, something that would have taken days or weeks to catch manually. And we're going to circle back to JP Morgan Chase because that's just one example of how they're using AI. Now, another uh, part of the business that AI is having a huge impact is budgeting. And that's where you go from spreadsheets to smart spending. And budgeting is a huge part. Traditionally, budgeting is a painful, time-consuming process because departments submit spreadsheets, finance teams consolidate them, then they check for errors, and then you have a bunch of back and forth approvals. Now, with AI, users can pull real-time expense data, auto-categorize and flag anomalies, suggest budget reallocations, and then forecast year-end spend based on current trends. It's like being able to pull everything in one place and look at it all at once in a single dashboard. So there's a lot of tools that are coming out, and there's even tools like QuickBooks that help small and medium businesses stay lean, agile, and aligned. Now, this doesn't just save time, it empowers decision makers to focus on strategy instead of just cleanup or busy work. Finally, we're going to talk about AI in operations. And operations is all about trying to find efficiencies. The goal is to always be smarter, leaner, faster. And it's a really broad category, but it's really everything that keeps the business moving. So AI helps operation team in the following ways. It can help optimize supply chains, automate logistics, predict machine failures before they happen, schedule employee shifts based on demand, reduce downtime and delays. Now, an example of this would be a logistics company like DHL or FedEx. Using AI, they're able to find the most efficient ways to route packages, to predict delivery windows, and to manage fuel efficiency. They can even predict when the vehicles or machines are going to need maintenance. In manufacturing, this capability to monitor machinery performance and predict when it's going to need maintenance before it breaks saves tons of money in downtime costs. Now, this week we're going to talk about two big companies. All right. Arguably, these are the two most influential companies in the entire world in global finance. We're going to talk about BlackRock and we're going to talk about JP Morgan Chase. If you're not familiar with them, I encourage you to use Perplexity AI as a research tool, or of course, you can always Google them. Now, the reason why I highlight BlackRock is for two reasons. One, the sheer scale. Okay, it is a global entity that touches nearly everything you know of financially, and yet we never hear about it. They've created an AI platform called Aladdin. Okay, BlackRock, by definition, is the world's largest asset manager, and it oversees somewhere north of $10 trillion in assets. Their AI platform, Aladdin, powers risk management, portfolio analytics, asset allocation, but not for users like us, but rather for banks, pension funds, governments. Now, what Aladdin does is scan real-time financial data. It runs risk simulations, it suggests portfolio adjustments, and it helps firms navigate market volatility with confidence. But it's not just a dashboard, it's a decision engine powered by machine learning, data visualization, and predictive models. As you research it, I think you'll find it to be very impactful and will give you an idea of just how large the impact that this platform has on our day-to-day lives. JP Morgan Chase is another example of that. JP Morgan Chase is the largest bank and in the world, and of course is the most AI forward bank in the world. They use AI for almost everything. In fact, they call it Omni AI. They use it for fraud detection, automated trading, customer service chatbots, natural language processing to read contracts and legal documents. They say that they have a platform that can analyze up to 12,000 legal documents per second. And it saves them over 360,000 hours of human work annually. So these aren't side projects, these are core business functions. Their AI also serves as a repository for any information that their employees may need to know. So, looking at all of this, the question is, what does this mean for us? All right. Whether you want to work in finance, management, operations, or run your own business, even work for another business, you're absolutely going to encounter AI tools like the ones we're talking about now. There's a few questions to reflect on this week. And I think the first one is, how comfortable are you letting AI make recommendations in high stake decisions? The second one should be, where do we draw the line between automation and human oversight? And then I think the third one is, what AI skills would you need to thrive in a finance or operations role? So this week we're going to be doing a lot of things. Primarily, we're focusing on researching tools like Aladdin and JP Morgan's AI strategy. We're going to participate in discussions about how AI is changing finance and operations. We're going to reflect on how AI could help you in your future job. And we're going to examine just how broadly adopted these tools are and the variety of use cases that are found from small to medium to even large size businesses. I look forward to all of your participation this week. Thank you so much for bearing with me. This is it's been a long week, and I apologize for getting this video out a little bit later than I'd like to, a day later than normal. But thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great week.